Hello and welcome back to everyone's favorite TCG guessing game, Staple or Stinker. Today we're going to be looking at some Yu-Gi-Oh cards and I'm joined by the lovely Thoralf. How you doing today?
It's good. I'm always excited to rate cards I don't know what they're doing.
What we're going to do today is I have 5 cards for you. They're either a staple and are competitive good cards that people like to play, or they're a stinker and they're bad and no one likes them. Your first card is...
Change of Heart. Spell card. Target one monster your opponent controls. Take control of it until the end phase. So I remember the iconic image.
Yes.
Because I think it shows up much in the series.
This is a card that Yugi used a lot in the show, for sure.
So in Magic, we have those effects, which are called threaten effects because the card that steals opponent cards named Threaten. In the card in Magic, it needs to explicitly tell that it can attack this turn as well, because a monster usually can't.
Right, so in Yu-Gi-Oh, monsters the turn you play them, they can attack right away.
And that means I can take one and then kill another one of your opponents.
That is right, you could do that, yeah.
From what I've known in Yu-Gi-Oh, there isn't much of a many creature situation. Usually people have one, well, none, for that matter.
Yeah.
So that would leave my opponent exposed to actually taking damage.
Yeah, you think about it, they lose a monster and you gain a monster.
Only for this turn, but if it's the last turn, it was basically forever.
Or yeah, if it's the only monster they have, then they're wide open.
It's perfect if my opponent's turn ends, because then it changes the outcome of the game, but if I don't do anything that turn, I lost the card for it only doing some damage.
Yeah, you're right. Ideally, the best way to use this would be to end the game before you have to give them their card back, right?
I don't know, I say this is a staple.
Thoralf, you are sadly incorrect.
Hi!
This is a very old card from the very first anime series, and for a long time, very, very good card. Very, very good to take whatever monster you played and hit you with it. It was so good, it was banned. For a very, very long time, this card was on the ban list. Yeah.
Stop the count.
More recently, it came off the ban list and everyone kind of freaked out and thought, oh my god, Change of Heart is back, this is crazy.
That's so good.
The main reason this card isn't as usable today is, number one, there's a lot of monsters that have protection so that they can't be targeted. And on top of that, there's just kind of other cards that do more than just this sort of effect. Card number 2, you ready?
Yes.
This time we have a monster card. It is from the extra deck. Do you know what this is?
No, obviously not.
This is a Link monster.
It doesn't have to do anything with Zelda, I assume?
No.
It's Nightmare Phoenix. Well, they have very punny names. 2 monsters with different names. Link. Okay, so this is what I have to sacrifice. If this card is Link summoned, you can discard 1 card, then target 1 spell trap card in your opponent's control, destroy it. Then, if this card was co-linked, when this effect was activated, you can draw 1 card. You can only use this effect if Nightmare Phoenix once per turn. Co-linked monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle.
The extra deck, you can think about it as almost like a 15-card commander zone, where if you meet the summoning requirements, you can pull these cards out. If you have 2 different named monsters, you get rid of them, you bring this guy out, you can discard a card to pop a spell or trap. So if you have another Link monster where the arrows are pointing at each other, they're co-linked, they have protection from destruction.
So basically this counts for my opponent's monster?
Yes, it points towards an opponent's monster, but it's not really relevant.
So they can be linked if they're one in or not?
The idea is you would have a second Link monster that points the opposite way towards the Phoenix, and then they're both protected from destruction, is the idea.
Like getting 1 is hard, getting 2 is probably inconceivable.
Link monsters have different requirements for the summon. So, for example, this is a Link 2 monster, which means it takes 2 monsters.
Right.
There are some that are Link 1 monsters, which
Link
means
0?
There is no Link 0, sadly. But Link 1 is pretty close, where you only need to sacrifice 1 to get a Link out.
Yeah, but sacrificing 2 means you started somehow the turn, or somehow managed to get all those monsters for free, which isn't easy.
It's true.
Cheap monsters as a tribute would come by easy, all your big monsters would be good, right? Like, let's say my opponent has a card, when a creature is summoned, destroy it. Would this be destroyed, or would this destroy their trap?
They would have to negate the summon, which is a very specific effect. If you bring that out and they use an effect to then destroy it, you would still get the summon effect first before it is destroyed.
But it would also be destroyed? Or
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is where I'm learning from past. I've heard trap cards are not really part of Yu-Gi-Oh, if I remember correctly.
Trap cards are the slowest cards because you have to set them down on your turn and then wait until you pass the turn before you can use them.
Yeah, and since all your turn is like quick action, trap cards aren't really a part of competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, from what I remember. And I cannot imagine co-linking is very desirable as a plan, even though it's kind of nice to have a card. I'm saying this one is the same as Change of Heart, a stinker.
Another stinker. Thoralf, you are incorrect. I'm so sorry. Nightmare Phoenix was a staple card for a very, very long time.
This is so many hoops.
Simply because 2 monsters is not that bad. Most decks will have 2 monsters out at some point during their turn.
Okay.
The big plus for Nightmare Phoenix is the spell and trap removal effect when it comes out. Because it's an extra deck monster, it's always there to be used if you need it. If you have some sort of, negate up on your board and I can't play as long as it's there, and I don't draw the card I need to destroy it, well, any 2 monsters I have, suddenly I just get rid of them, bring out Phoenix, and I can destroy your card and finally play the game. It's more the fact that it's an extra deck monster that's always available to you in case you need to destroy a spell. Your next card. This time we have a main deck monster.
Super Ancient Deep Sea King Coelacanth.
Coelacanth? It's a real fish, but that does not mean I know how to pronounce it.
Fish effect. Once per turn, you can discard 1 card, special summon as many level 4 or lower fish monsters as possible from your deck. So this needs to be on the battlefield for this, right?
Yes.
But they cannot declare an attack or any of the effects are negated. Any of the effects, okay. During each player's turn, when this face-up card is on the field, targeted by a card effect, you can tribute another fish monster, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy the card. Okay, that's pretty good. Because, let's say, it has...
Count the stars?
7 stars.
Yes, 7
So that means
stars.
you only have to sacrifice 1 monster, right?
7 stars is sacrifice 2 creatures to play it.
But I've learned from the Phoenix, apparently monsters come by as you wish. So at one point, I've heard somebody say, very smart, you will start or have 2 creatures in play.
Yes.
Then I will play my Fish Lord. Now I have to discard a card. Trivial. I special summon many level 4 or lower fish monster. I assume your deck is fishy, so you have a lot of fishes.
And that's the other thing. In Yu-Gi-Oh, there's 5 monster spaces.
Right.
So you would play this, discard a card, and you would be able to summon 4 fish from your deck.
Face up on the field by target by any card effect. So I guess that wouldn't count for like a Dark Hole?
No, Dark Hole would kill your whole board, but any sort of effect targeting this, you can just use one of your fish to negate it, basically, yeah.
Is Dark Hole legal?
Dark Hole is legal.
Is Dark Hole good?
I'm not obliged to answer that question.
I can neither confirm nor deny that. I don't assume Dark Hole is that good. Otherwise, it wouldn't be unbanned, I guess. Probably people play more cards that are specific, like silence this card and destroy it, because otherwise you couldn't do anything. From what I've learned from the past, I say this card is a staple.
This is a staple, okay. Super Ancient, Deep Sea King, Coelacanth, Fry Cook, Fishy Boy is a stinker. Not doing so hot today, are we?
You should have used more soy sauce.
Here's the problem with this card. It does take 2 tributes to bring out, which is not nothing.
Okay.
Because compared to Nightmare Phoenix, which takes 2 monsters to make, this is your normal summon. You only get 1 normal summon per turn. Usually in decks, your normal summon is like what gets your turn started. That's not always the case, but a lot of the time it is. With Nightmare Phoenix, you just have the 2 cards out and you just bring it out for free, basically.
So what you said with the Phoenix is having 2 cards is possible or trivial, including your normal summon.
Yeah, exactly. So
You have to be so careful with all those.
unless you cheat this out somehow, the fish deck just never really had enough to like make this worth it.
Who would have thought that a lot of fish aren't good enough?
It does read like a crazy effect though. 4 cards from your deck for free is nuts. But sadly, the cost to get him out there and then the reward of doing it just isn't quite enough to compare to other like modern decks. Wow, 0 for 3 so far. Let's see if we can bring it back with our next card, which is
A block dragon. Oh, this is 8 stars, which is not different than 7, right?
8 stars is also a 2 tribute monster, yes.
So is there functionally a difference then between 8 and 7?
Mostly the levels matter for extra deck cards. So you can make different extra deck cards based on levels.
Sometimes it says like, your 8-star monsters
Yeah.
get whatever. Okay. Cannot be normal summoned set. Must be special summoned from your hand or graveyard. By banishing 3 earth monsters from your hand or graveyard. It's the same. Okay. So, in loose terms, it's basically free. Except if your earth monsters aren't good enough. But okay, rock monsters you control cannot be destroyed except by battle. This is useless. If this card is sent to the field from the graveyard, you can add up to 3 rock monsters from your deck to your hand, whose total level equals 8. So that means basically unkillable. So it dies, you get it onto the field somehow. It dies, you get rock monsters to your hand, and then you can summon it again, right?
Yeah, so you bring it out by getting rid of 3 from grave or hand.
Yeah.
And then when it goes away, you get up to 3 rock from your deck to your hand.
Right.
So you could just resummon it with the 3 that you're adding.
So it's basically some form of indestructible.
Yeah, it's recurring. You can keep summoning it.
I guess you're capped by the amount of earth monsters in your deck, hand, graveyard, which, I don't know. You play 40 cards, 20 of them are good spells. Maybe you do that like 4 times. That's probably good enough. You can only use this effect of Block Dragon once per turn. Okay, is it trivial to get stuff into your graveyard?
I would say there are very good ways to put stuff in your grave, yes.
Let's say you have, I remember, I mean, it's also an old classic. It's like draw 3, discard 2.
Graceful Charity,
Yes.
So that is a banned card.
But this would be kind of where you can throw something away and then all of a sudden it has value in your graveyard.
The idea for this card would be you play through your combo. By the time you've used a couple cards, things are going to the graveyard. Then you could bring him out.
And then once you've done this once, your opponent has to deal with it over and over and over again.
Right.
Okay. My track record so far isn't that great. I see nothing wrong with this card. You basically just somehow get it done once, and then it's an engine that basically eventually kills your opponent. I say staple.
Thoralf, you're right! Block Dragon is a banned card. This card is not allowed to be played because it's too good, in fact. It came out almost like 10 years ago, I think, at this point, and was not played, was not good, didn't really have much to do. But all it takes is a couple years. Eventually, there's going to be good enough rock monsters that you can just fill your deck with them. And like you say, this recurs every time it dies. You get 3 cards for free, which is huge.
Yeah.
And also the way the last effect works, you can add monsters whose total level is equal to 8. So you get to pick and choose like, oh, I want to do a level 1 and a level 7, or I want to do a level 2, a level 3, and a level 3. Like you have so much freedom in what you're adding to your hand, you can just win the game off of it, basically. We're on our last card, Dolph, and it's your favorite kind, the ever slow trap card.
Oh, they're bad.
Already stinker, no matter what.
I've heard trap cards aren't good. Waking the Dragon. It's a trap! If this set card in its owner's control has left the field because of an opponent's effect and is now in the graveyard or banishment, you can special summon 1 monster from your deck or extra deck. I have to be honest, I didn't understand what it says.
In order to play a trap card, you have to set it face down on your field and wait for the next turn before you can use it.
In your turn as well? No?
Yeah, you can use it in your opponent's turn, starting on your opponent's turn. This card, if it's face down on the field and your opponent destroys it with an effect,
Yes.
you get to special summon a card from either your main deck or your extra deck.
So it's basically a trap card.
Yes, you're not ever going to activate the card, you're just waiting for your opponent to destroy it with something and then you get the effect.
Because people are afraid of that this is something good.
Yes.
So when they go into their combo or start their turn, they want to get rid of whatever you have.
Right.
So in this case, you would then say, haha, it's a trap.
The main thing with that card is any extra deck monster, you can kind of ignore whatever requirements it has by using this card.
So as bad as they are, maybe for the game, I don't know, for the show and the excitement, it was insane.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you play something face down, you don't know.
One of the most iconic lines from the show is you've activated my trap cards.
So it would be a correct assessment that if this happens, I win the game.
Potentially. It's a potentially, depending on what you're bringing out.
The question is then, how often does it happen so I can do this? This face down thing also counts for spells. Like I can put spells face down?
Yes.
Like, I don't know, maybe a change of heart?
You can set any spell or trap face down on the field. If it is a spell card and it has a little lightning bolt, which means it's a quick play, you can use it on your opponent's turn. If it's a trap card, you can use it on your opponent's turn. If it's a normal spell, it's just going to sit there until the turn passes back to you.
Why would I ever put a normal spell on the field?
That's a good question, but it can be a bluff. You can make someone think that you have a trap by doing that sometimes.
It could be this one.
It could be that.
I kind of want to say, instead of being staple or stinker, it's kind of a sinus wave card. You know what I mean? It's like, there are times where it's very staple, and then everybody knows it's there, and then gets very stinky. And you just have to kind of find the taste of the month if people want to expect it. If I have to say, it sounds quite bad, like if people know about it, so people don't play it. But I think maybe sometimes it has its thing. But in that case, I'm going with stinker.
You are correct. Woo! You actually kind of nailed it with your assessment of like the meta call of like, if it's a good card and everyone's playing it, then everyone knows that everyone's playing it, so no one's destroying it.
Yeah.
So then it becomes worse, so then people stop playing it and then it gets better. That was right on the money. It's one of those cards that potentially, if it goes off, it could just win you the game on the spot. You pull out some big idiot that...
I imagine in 25 years of YuGiOh or something, you find something that's good for you.
It just turns off all your opponent's cards and you win from there. But as for right now, it might someday be good enough, but yeah, it's a stinker.
Nice.
So, you're 2 for 5. How do you feel?
Well, it's always a bit difficult to comprehend all of those. I think anything above 1 is good.
There you go. That's perfect. And now you know what a link monster is.
Right. So eventually, like if we do 105 episodes of this, I know everything.
The next one we do can be all link monsters, because now you know how they work. How's that?